Hey guys, greetings from Dystopia, episode 32. Raspberry Pi portions are done. It was raining this morning, so I opted to just do those parts this morning and then go for my walk this afternoon. I'm about halfway done. In the videos this morning I covered basically what I'm going to use for the project. I covered some tools and a little bit more detail on the case. Nothing I'm doing you have to follow exactly. If you want to follow along with the Raspberry Pi build, by all means go ahead. Parts are readily available, although there is beginning to be a slight shortage on the there's the trail behind me. On the Raspberry Pis right now, in particular the Model 4 or Raspberry Pi 4 models, blah blah blah, because they are being purchased out for building the respirators or modifying CPAPs to support for respiratory care for part of the COVID outbreak. So it's a good thing that the market's actually short because of the reason they're being used. But a Raspberry Pi 3 is more than sufficient for what we're going to do. Again, I talked about that in the video, the different possibilities for it, so I'm not going to go over that again. I'll spare you guys. It is a mucky day. It's not very pleasant. It's overcast. Like I said, it rained earlier. Temperature probably right now is mid 50s. Definitely a chill in the air. Really pretty fungus right there. I'm sure that sounds funny, but if I can get him in here on that tree. The size of some of these guys. That one's probably close to 18 inches across, that biggest one. I'm walking another portion of the I&M that I have not walked in a while. This is a rather industrialized piece. We are still technically in Romeoville. Nice part is the distance that the trail goes down the road there. This part of the trail goes quite a ways straight down through Romeoville into Lockport, and then it begins to make its curve more towards the southwest to head out that way. I've given a lot of thought the I&M trail and actually doing that hike. Those of you who may not follow the state of Illinois news, we are stay at home until the end of May now. Again, you can go out, you can exercise, you can do the things, your daily routines, but you must always wear a mask now in public when you're around other people. They're going to slowly start opening things back up here in limited case where appropriate. I just noticed this slight safety issue here. If I can get these sticking out. They stick out into the trail. I wonder how many cyclists are going to get caught on that. You can go out in limited function. One of the things that did catch my attention that they're going to look into opening back up are hair salons and barbers. Getting a little long here. For anybody that's keeping track on the I&M miles, I just passed marker 27. So back to what I was saying is, with the state opening up things, some of the state parks are going to open back up in this area. they are actually going to open up the I&M Canal Trail as a whole. They did not specifically say, well, are you going to open this state park that the I&M runs through? I'm going to assume that that is a yes. I actually emailed somebody at the state that I know from. Anyway, so hopefully we'll hear something back from him pretty soon on that clarification, because if they do open up the parks that are attached to the I&M, I may go ahead and do my I&M hike while we're locked down. I know that it sounds kind of counterintuitive, but vast majority of the trail out here, you are on your own. You get into urban areas, you may see people go running by, but that's the extent of it. Just depends on what your goal is. But if they open the parks up, I may do section hike this out with maybe 1 or 2 overnighters, if that's possible. If not, I will probably section hike the majority of it just on day trips and not do the city of Chicago areas until this is all over with. If I'm able to do that, you'll see pieces of it here on the daily vlogs, and then I'll assemble them into one larger I&M video. I was surprised that there actually were people interested in that, because I grew up there and I never knew about the canal, or I know of the canal and I don't know the history of the canal. So depends on what you're interested in, but we'll start putting that together here pretty soon. Another unique thing with a lot of the larger portions of the I&M are the casting piles that you can see. These are when they dredge the canal, where it's heavier stone on both sides of the canal. You can actually see these giant stone piles everywhere you go. Well, I was planning on doing some walkthroughs. You know, where I walk through the shot. Kind of hard to do on a long straight trail, you know. I can't hide myself and then walk into the frame. So it's going to be a walk and talk today. I have a cyclist coming up behind me in a red shirt. I have another hiker coming head on. So I will pause for a little bit. See you guys then. Just a real quick rundown for the start of the Raspberry Pi project. I will put a list down in the description. It may not go up initially with the video, but I will put a list in the description of the components. For my build, I'm going to use the Raspberry Pi 3 Model A+. So we'll move that out of the way. The case itself, just to flip this over to show you. The case itself, I am using the Smarty Pi Touch 2 from Smarty Case. We're using the 7-inch Raspberry Pi touchscreen display from Element 14. This is an official Raspberry Pi product. For additional input options, the FavorMate's remote control. The one thing I do like about this one is it comes with an integrated keyboard on the back side. So this gives us a lot of flexibility. Like I said, we're going to build this as a general use project, and then you can customize it from there, or we can come up with other project ideas. So that's the basic gist of the project components. There's going to be a lot of little things that come in over time, and they should all be relatively simple things. Another option is a 5-megapixel Arducam. I actually have a few of these laying around. It does connect by a ribbon cable to the Raspberry Pi. Just expansions down the road, just to give you ideas, things to think about. Relay modules. You can buy 1, 2, 4, 6, 8. I think I've seen up to a 12 relay module. So this could be controlled via GPIO from the Raspberry Pi to activate these relays. So we could be turning on and off lights, etc. in a vehicle, for example, or in a smart home. A lot of capabilities we can do with this, but just the basic start is we are going to make this function. And then we'll walk through it from there. The reason I chose to go with the Model A Plus over the Model B Plus Raspberry Pi, it all boils down to this area right here. I want access to this switch. I want it to be, if I need to come up with a higher profile switch, I can. If this is in a location where you're going to reach around, grab it, and move it fairly often, the Raspberry Pi 3 Model A Plus is a very clean design. You can see, in this case, we'll put in a unifying receiver. It's behind the case design, behind the edge of the case. If we build on a B Plus, for example, when the case is closed, the 4 USB ports and the network port are exposed. So you have an exposed to ground shield for static discharge potential problems. If a unifying receiver is plugged in, it sticks proud of the case. As you can see, the edge of the case is here. The receiver sticks beyond that edge. If you, for example, plug in a network cable, in my use case, I don't need a wired cable. So, again, you know, the maximum radius you want on a network cable is about that bend. You don't want it any tighter. So it's just, it's an ugliness factor, I think, that we don't need to worry about for this. As we go down the road and things change, if we need to upgrade the boards, you can see how simple that is. And there's 4 nuts. Any GPIOs that you plug back in, or any GPIOs that you have in use, need to be plugged back in, same as the display ribbon cable. And that's it. I think it gives us a very clean design. Like I said, there would be one. If you have OCD right now, you're going nuts because it's already driving me nuts, and I apologize for it. But if I'm over here, you get the glare from this light. So I'm trying to stay over to the edge to keep the glare off. But it's like driving my OCD nuts because it's not centered on this grid. Multifunction button right here. I was asked about breadboarding in another question, and I just wanted to take a second to talk about that real quick. So I'd mentioned breadboards, and a question came up via email. Well, that's fine, but how do I mount the Raspberry Pi? I mean, can I just leave it sitting on the table like that and run the wires across? Sure, you can. I've seen people take a piece of acrylic and tap it with 4 screws to hold the Raspberry Pi down. What I did fail to mention is the RAB platform that I have. I make a lot of use of this. Very simply, your Raspberry Pi screws down. The RAB platform is actually very handy for prototyping. It probably gives you the most flexibility of any prototyping board I've seen over the last few years. Not only because it mounts the Raspberry Pi, but the Arduinos can mount as well. am I missing here? Oh, that's meant for the Mega. So it would go this way. There you go. So for a standard Uno, it would mount there. Your Raspberry Pi mounts here. If you have the Mega, which is a larger board, you know, it fits in back there. So by using a platform like this, you do get the added advantage of having fixed mount points for the boards. The breadboard is there if you need external power for the board. You can use these little... There's a bunch of companies making these power supplies for breadboarding, and I love them. I have... This one's from U-Robot, YU-Robot. There's several other companies making them. They're all basically the same functions. You get a resettable power, power on, power off. This one does not have it. The other one I have actually has a reset button located there. It's configurable so that the power output is either 5 volts. In the neutral position, it's off. If it's to the right, it's 3.3 volts out to the rail, to the common rail. So there's a lot of flexibility in these type of development platforms. And they're not terribly expensive. If I remember right, this was around $20. I'll make a note of it on the screen. But yeah, that's it, guys. So that's our basic Raspberry Pi components for our build. I will put a list down below, and you can start purchasing or not purchase and use what you have and just follow along in general. On the next video, we will load the Raspberry Pi, get an operating system going, get it updated, get everything working, and then we'll follow up that video with actually getting it mounted in the case and get the display working, and then we'll just expand on from there. Hey folks, just one real quick follow-up. I knew some questions may come up about the Smarty Pi case and why I chose that one, so I thought I'd just take a second and show you. There are some cheaper cases for a surface mount for the display, but the Smarty Pi kind of caught my attention for a lot of reasons. Number one is the look. Number two is the kit is essentially complete with all of the cables, and you get the additional, you know, the mountable panels. You get the surface mount, which they call the compact mounts. You get all of the cables you might need. You get 2 optional doors. One includes the fan. You get the base stand. It just made that much more sense to show you, you know, to build with this type of a case versus the previous case that I've used in the past. Some other options I was talking about the Lego mount. So there's the Lego pad in place. So now you can see your little Lego guy and the little Lego computer. It also has the hole for the standard Raspberry Pi web camera. It goes right out the front of the case. It very cleanly surface mounts. I thought they had a cleaner picture of it. Oh, there it is. So you can see it's a very clean mount. The other option is if you expand your Raspberry Pi and you decide to use a hat of some type. Hats are expansion modules that plug directly into the GPIO pins. As I switch over to my camera here. So hats plug directly in here. So you could say that this is your Raspberry Pi and this is, we'll say, an audio hat, although it's not. The audio hat has a female header on the back of it, and it would simply just plug in to the Raspberry Pi, and those are hats because they go on it like a hat, and they allow you to expand it. So they also sell several covers that go on the back, which would expand, you know, the coverage for the back of the case. They offer a 15 millimeter and a 35 millimeter hat that go on the back. So here they are Oops, why can I not? Oh, this one won't let me blow up the image, but there you go. It just basically mounts to the back of the case and gives you a lot of additional expansion capability. If you would like a bottom enclosure, they also offer the downloadable CAD file to 3D print your own base plate. So a bottom enclosure, if you wanted to expand down like I was talking about to a relay board, or you were going to do sub-communications to an Arduino, you could just adjust the height of this in your 3D print CAD and then print it out to the depth that you need, or leave holes open in the back as you print. So it's a very, I think this particular system has a lot more thought put into it. So it allows the best possible capability. And again, that's the Smarty Pi Touch 2. As I try to grab my, my bar there. All right, guys. See you later. Toolkits was another question that came up. The simplest one I've found is the iFixit toolkit. You can find this on Amazon. It's a standard screwdriver handle. I mean, a screwdriver is a screwdriver. Has quite a variety of bits, as you can see. There's also a flexible neck. And this is one of my more common toolkits. Another kit that I have that's come in handy several times is this one from Oria, I think it's pronounced, O-R-I-A. This kit is a little bit more unique because of some of the features that it comes with. You get a wide variety of, oh, that one came out. A wide variety of, why is that stuck in there? Okay, that one's stuck in there. Suffice it to say, you get a multitude of tweezers in this kit. So there's fines, there's angles, there's a larger set. Comes with the knife. One of the handiest parts of kits like these are these little, you're going to look at them and think, well, that's a plastic stick. Well, it's actually a spudger. They're highly specialized little tools. I need a piece of white card or something, and I don't. Actually, it comes with quite a few little spudgers of different types. I have 4 that are always out on my bench. They essentially mimic these. And spudgers are used for getting little plastic components apart or getting behind a screen on something to take it apart. No, I do not fix screens. That invariably seems to come as a question. I have attempted to fix my own a few times. It is doable, but it is such finicky, delicate work. It's not my favorite thing. This one also has a static grounding strap that comes with it, as well as the extension. I've added a few things to this kit. You know, a ruler. Here's some metal spudgers. They're double-ended spudgers to get behind things, to pry open cases. Little kits like this, you pick them up fairly cheap, but they are always so handy to have because of the variety of bits. I even have one which has a lot of security bits, which I know you've seen are the custom screws. You see the screw head, and it only has 2 little dents in it. The other kit I have has all of those for the custom security keys. So you can open up a case that maybe somebody didn't intend you to open, but you need to be able to service it, and that's how you get to it. So that's it. There's 2 quick little toolkits for you. There's this one from Raya, and there's this one from iFixit. I tend to use the iFixit one much more, and it's just because of the layout. It's very simple to use. The back is magnetic, so you don't lose your part. I'm sure they did this for structural strength, the grid. However, I find the grid is handy for placing screws. So I orient it, I don't know, just for the device I'm working on. Just say I orient it in the same orientation. And then if I have to go in, and we'll say I have to get out a screw, I can come in, take out the screw, and when I take the screw out, I put it into a same, so as you work your way down, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. You know what I'm saying? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it gives you a way to organize screws so you can remember what came from where. And that's it. Very simple. These little toolkits are, like I said, inexpensive. I don't think any of these I've bought like this have ever been over about $30. So they're very, very handy to have around. All right, folks, we're going to finish it up here. Hopefully you enjoyed the Raspberry Pi segment. We'll be back tomorrow with more video. Be good, be well, see you tomorrow.